Yes. So I'm not sure if you folks are aware, but I know that you have talked about the housing crisis quite often, or at least I've seen. Currently, there are over 980 human beings who are experiencing homelessness in Halifax, or like the general HRM. Obviously, there's a need for shelters and stuff like that, but there's also a really strong need for workers who work from the ground up with the person, because a lot of people who are or have or are currently experiencing homelessness are obviously extremely traumatized. I mean, you can't shower. Like, how are you going to go get a job if you can't even shower or like feel good about yourself? A lot of people have maybe physical or mental disabilities where they can't work, and they're only getting $380 a month from income assistance. A lot of people experiencing homelessness, they're unable to see, 2 days from now, they're seeing, 20 minutes from now, how am I going to eat? How am I going to do like my necessities? So something that's really cool about my program, what we do is we have 8x8 shelters. People call them sheds, but they ain't sheds, they're shelters. And they're really sweet, actually. So they're pretty expensive to make, but it was all from like donations from like the community. So that's really cool because people obviously see the need. So to see people actually doing something is awesome. When the program first started, these shelters were put around, HRM, Bedford, Sackville. It was like a crisis thing. Like, it was supposed to be just a few months throughout the winter in 2021. And then my organization realized that nothing was changing. Like, these people didn't have anywhere to go in 4 months. Like, there was nothing. So the city, they made it indefinite. The permit isn't going to end now. Okay. So we're allowed to have these shelters up as long as we want until they hired me to work with folks to get them either income assistance or a job, so that they can actually, afford the next step, work on any addictions or mental health counseling, because without that, you can put someone in an apartment, but then they're just going to be alone with their own thoughts still. So they need those supports. And then from there, I get them subsidies. And I don't mean it that like I do it, like we do it together. So what that is money from Housing Nova Scotia towards rent, because rent is ridiculous, as we know, in all places. So some of my clients, they have like $380 a month. Some of them have like $918 a month plus income assistance. So once you're renting and you're on income assistance, you'll go from the $380 every month, which is like considered essential shelter funds, because they assume that you're getting fed and blah, blah, blah. But once you obtain an apartment and you provide your lease, your income assistance goes up to $686, unless you have a doctor's note saying that you are unable to physically or mentally work, and then it's $950. So the person that has this $918 subsidy, they're making bank at this once that we get him into an apartment. But yeah, so there's ways to do it, but without a caseworker who's like on the ground, like pushing these things, all of these things, someone who's experiencing homelessness, they're not going to go out and search for them. And I don't mean to generalize it, but it's just not plausible. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm trying to survive. I'm not trying to go to a bunch of meetings with different organizations to get where I need to go kind of stuff. Some people are. I don't mean to say everyone, but yeah. Since I started working there, we've gotten 4 people housed, which is really cool. I just did a meeting on Tuesday with an organization called GeoConnects. What they do is we're now partners. So they help people who are unable to afford internet get free internet and a Chromebook. You have to be an organization to work with them anyways. You can't just be like, I need free internet. So as I go, I'm redesigning the program as much as I can and making sure that I only do intake with people who actually can reach that next step, who are mentally prepared, because I'm just doing it all by myself. Like, my boss is very supportive and stuff, but I'm the only person in my organization that works in this field. If you're like telling me you're going to kill me, I can't help you. Sorry. I just can't. I've actually had that experience. So yeah, it's been a lot, but I love it. Because I used to be like homeless and a drug addict. So it's really cool to do the full circle thing.
I forgot that you were homeless for a while.
It was very, very short period, but yes. And no, I didn't actually live on the street either. Like, I was just like couch surfing. There's a lot of homelessness behind closed doors that we don't see. So people are like, there's only a few tents up in Victoria Park. Nah, man, there's almost 1,000 people.
The fact that you said 980, my first gut instinct, which is unfortunate, was I don't see that many people. I haven't seen that many homeless people, but I guess homelessness, it doesn't mean they're on the street necessarily.
Yeah, because couch surfing is considered experiencing homelessness, right? So it's, there's a bunch of different ways that you would be classified as homeless or chronically homeless, which is, I think it's more than 2 years of experiencing homelessness, whether that be streets, tents, couch surfing, etc. So yeah, it's really disgusting, honestly. It's unbelievable that we are in this state, that all of these people are suffering, and rents just keep getting higher. We need public housing to be implemented.
Does your services, your work, your know-how and care extend to like getting groceries and how people are navigating that right now, like transportation? Is there such a thing as an affordable bus pass though?
If you're on income assistance, you can get a free one for a year and you can renew it every year. So that's pretty cool.
That's really helpful.
It is.
That's great. Yeah. I am curious about how the grocery situation works right now.
Yeah, I mean, basically with my program specifically, I can't speak for how other organizations work with their clients. The people who are on site like every single day, pretty much, they provide gift cards that are donated by the community. So those can range from $15 to sometimes $50 a week. But the shelters that we have, there's nowhere to cook or store food. So they're getting ready to go meals or McDonald's maybe or whatever, Tim Hortons. First of all, it's not very healthy, but they also like they can't make good food or anything like that. So it's also more expensive. So those gift cards are getting blown through in a few days instead of lasting, 2 weeks. So yeah, it's pretty rough out there right now. I mean, I don't even know how to even describe it. I mean, it's just so sad, especially for people who are suffering more than, the person who does have an apartment or a house or whatever. Yes. We're experiencing the fact that eggs are $8 when they used to be like $2.39. I miss them days because I was buying a lot of eggs. Not anymore, but it's a sin. It really is. It's an actual sin. Like the definition of what a sin is currently what we're living. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully somebody that's cool takes over at some point and just like does cool things. Yeah. I mean, I just feel like it ain't that hard. Like you're approving like all these condos, and it's not like the city's paying for the condos, but they're approving them. So like, why don't you approve like public housing too? Instead of like, the art gallery on the waterfront or like something like that. Like art galleries are cool. We all like art galleries for the most part, but like, hello, like there's literally, you're ignoring like half of the population right now. It's just
I think our statement was during the budget review that basically everything in a budget right now that is fluff should be directly to housing. Like, we don't need extras right now. When there's Canadians homeless, we don't need extras.
No, we don't.
We'll wait 10 years. We'll all be fine.
It's also sad because a lot of the argument as to why they don't want to put money into housing is because they're like, they're just drug addicts. They don't want housing. They just want to follow their own rules. Well, why don't you pay or train or, educate more people to actually work one-on-one with the people who maybe don't want to follow the rules because they are out there, and like try to get some sort of program going to like teach them how to get on that side of life and like, I don't know, stop bringing drugs in the country and like pretending like you're not. And like, there's so many
That's
things.
such a conversation around our justice system too. Like it's not rehabilitation focused at all. It's not geared toward rehabilitation. So that's obviously it's not even on their forefront. Like they're not even thinking about rehabilitation.
Oh no, before this current job, I worked for the John Howard Society, so I was a case manager for male identifying individuals exiting incarceration who were experiencing homelessness. John Howard would bail these guys out of jail and put them up in a hotel. There was no structure to the program whatsoever. The city was just like, here's a bunch of funding for this. We didn't even get trained. And I mean, I'm not trying to shit on John Howard, but honestly, like it was crazy. It was just sad because we made their lives worse. We tried with no knowledge or training at all. They are putting funding to like little projects like that, but there's nothing to hold it up. Like there's
no foundation of support.
Yeah. So and then these people just end up either reoffending or back on the streets or whatever, and then eventually reincarcerated. So I wish I could fix it all. I mean, don't we all? I don't know, but it's just there's so many different like facets of the disgust in this community with like how bad people are suffering. It's really bad, and there's no shelter beds, and then even if there are shelter beds, nobody wants to go to the shelters because they get raped or abused or whatever, and like people are fighting over food in the food banks, and it's like Tim Houston that's going to his cottage and let's just sitting back probably eating a bunch of eggs, and then you got people who are like literally like the complete opposite. And I'm not saying he holds all the power, but you just wonder, like, do these people ever think about those people?
We're going to talk about housing, specifically in the HRM. We're now dealing more so on a municipal level with our boy Mike Savage. I think more has the say in housing here in the city than, say, Tim Houston does. He does deal with provincial stuff. Like, he was in charge, or he oversaw the housing being installed at NSCC and stuff like that for student housing. But there is something to be said about what's happening at our council level. They love to approve new taxes. They love to approve new ways that they can take money from us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're making money.
Where is that being placed? Where is that being put? It's a great question. So leave it at that.
Sorry to interrupt this episode, but if you could all like, comment, and subscribe, it truly helps us out in the long run. We look at all the comments and the feedback, and it means the world to us. Thanks for watching.